Good morning and welcome to today's commission meeting. It's March 12th, 2026, 9:31 a.m. We are meeting in person and virtually today at the Washington State Liquor and Cannabis Board. Today's meeting will be recorded. We encourage the public to provide comments specific to items on the meeting agenda. The public comment guidelines are posted on our website and outline how to let us know in advance of the meeting that you wish to provide public comment at the meeting. Those providing public comment at today's meeting notified us by 5 p.m. Wednesday or signed up in person at the LCB within 15 minutes of the start of the meeting. No one indicated that they wish to provide public comment at today's meeting. Written comments on today's agenda item should have been received by the close of business yesterday, March 11th, 2026. No written comments were received. The chat feature has been turned off. If you have technical difficulties, please email us at askus@wsgc.wa.gov. So I'll take the roll. Vice Chair Lawson, present. Commissioner Charles is excused today. Commissioner Scartvet.
Present.
All right, and then ex officios, Senator Conway. Senator Holy, Representative Klova, Representative Waters. All right, well, we have a quorum, so we will go ahead and get started. This morning we are starting with a petitioner to initiate rulemaking, the self-exclusion term limits, Petitioner Adams. I believe we have the translator with us here, so see if we can get that.
Yes, the translator is here. Oh.
Good morning, Trisha Gullian here, Legislative and Rules Manager. Yes, we are going to start with Petitioner Adams' request, and I believe the translator is going to translate what I'm saying so the petitioner is on the line. So I'm going to take this a little bit by chunks. This is a carryover from last month as we were having technical difficulties. Petitioner Adams is requesting to change the WAC, allowing her and other self-exclusion participants the option to remove themselves from the self-exclusion program before their term has expired.
This is the Mandarin interpreter. You want me to start interpreting into Mandarin?
Yes, please.
Okay. Sorry, this is the Cantonese interpreter. 所以呢個請願人咧 Adam 姐就係要求咧就係我哋上個月因為有技術嘅困難啦，所以要改你今日嘅，所以佢係要求咧將佢哋嘅呢個自我排除嘅計劃之中咧就係移除嘅，就係佢嘅限期已經過咗啦，所以依家就係唔使限制佢自己啦。
For background, this would require adding a section to WAC 230-23 to allow individuals to remove themselves from this voluntary self-exclusion program before their term has expired.
咁就係咧，希望呢個就需要佢哋咧喺自我嘅呢個排除計劃之中咧，就係喺呢個結束之前咧，就係需要有咁樣嘅一個排期去聽今日嘅呢個就係聽審至可以將佢喺呢個計劃之中咧就移除嘅。
In 2022, the Commission established rules around self-exclusion after soliciting extensive feedback. Current WAC rules state the purpose of this chapter is to establish a centralized, statewide self-exclusion program administered by the Commission, allowing a person with a gambling problem or gambling disorder to voluntarily self-exclude themselves from licensed house-banked card rooms and participating tribal gaming facilities.
喺2022年咧，委員會就係喺徵求廣泛嘅呢個意見之後咧，就制定咗一個規矩。目前嘅呢個規矩咧，就係説明咗呢個目的咧係建立一個由委員會管理嘅中央集權嘅計劃。呢個係允許咧有賭博問題抑或賭博障礙嘅人咧係可以自願嘅自我排除。唔去嗰啲執照嘅，譬如話去賭場啊，抑或去參與任何嘅呢啲賭博嘅設施。
The WAC further lines out that at the time of enrollment, the participant must select a period of enrollment for self-exclusion, 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, or 10 years, and that once enrolled, the participant cannot be removed from the program prior to the initial selected period of enrollment for voluntary self-exclusion.
咁呢個 WEC 嘅計劃咧，就係參加咗之後咧，呢個參與者係可以自我選擇呢個參與嘅呢個時間嘅1年、3年、5年抑或10年。一旦註冊參與咗之後咧，佢唔可以提早喺呢個計劃之中咧，就係排除嘅，除非佢滿足所有嘅佢自己揀嘅呢個時間為止。
After an individual decides to participate in the self-exclusion program, they must enroll. On the enrollment form, participants must select an exclusion timeframe. The self-exclusion form states, once enrolled, you cannot be removed from the program prior to the selected period of enrollment.
一旦參與咗呢個計劃之後咧，你哋呢個參與者必須要揀自我排除賭博嘅時間框架。一旦你揀咗個時間，你就唔可以喺呢個選擇嘅時間之前咧提早就係結束嘅。
All participants who sign up for the program sign and acknowledge that they understand what they are voluntarily signing up for.
所有報名參加呢個計劃嘅人咧，佢哋係簽署咗文件，並且咧係承認佢哋了解呢個自願註冊嘅所有內容嘅。
RCW 9-46-071 authorizes the Commission to establish a statewide self-exclusion program for all licensees and adopt rules. The Commission has discretion in establishing the scope, process, and requirements of the self-exclusion program, including denying, suspending, or revoking an application, license, or permit.
RCW 9-46-071嘅呢個授權委員會咧，可以建立全州範圍對於所有許可仲有採用規則嘅呢個委員會，可以決定咧建立呢個自我排斥嘅計劃嘅範圍、過程、要求，包括拒絕、暫停抑或撤銷呢個認可。
I will now ask if Petitioner Adams would like to address the commissioners.
好，依家問下就係我哋嘅呢個申請者 Adam 是否有任何嘢要同我哋嘅委員會講呢？你有嘢講嗎？
He dropped off. No. Oh, looks like we lost the.
Okay, so I believe she's dropped off. Yeah. Okay, so moving forward, the Commission must take action within 60 days. This petition was, the petitioner did agree to extend that timeline. Your options are you can initiate rulemaking, and that if that was to happen, the staff would would contact the code revisor and open up the 101. After that, we would initiate feedback from stakeholders and tribal partners before coming back to you with draft language for further review and action. The Commission could continue in the rulemaking process, or you could deny the petition.
好，咁呢個委員會咧就必須喺60日之中咧採取行動嘅。呢份請願咧係可以同意延長呢個時間表嘅。你可以揀就係可以就係開啟呢個規則嘅制定，抑或如果有咁嘅情況咧，工作人員咧就會係聯繫我哋嘅呢個申請者咧，然後咧會將利益相關者嗰啲我哋嘅反饋咧一定會介紹入你嘅下一步嘅呢個審查嘅行動。我哋委員會會決定係咪要拒絕你嘅請願，抑或接受你嘅請願。
Okay, is the petitioner still not here? Okay, thank you. So I understand that the staff has gone to great lengths to ensure that this hearing was set up and that we had translators available. I don't know if there's anyone on the staff that can speak to the efforts that were made for just briefly.
I'll go ahead and summarize.
我知道呢 should the interpreter also interpret this part?
Yes, please.
我知道我哋嘅工作人員咧係有盡力咧，將今日嘅聽證會咧就係以某種以比較好嘅方式建立嘅。我哋亦都有僱用呢個翻譯噶啦。咁我哋嘅工作人員可以同我哋講下佢哋做過嘅努力係乜嘢，總結係乜嘢。
Could you, interpreter, could you please let us know if she comes back, and if she does come back, if she can speak, then we'll just take her comments immediately.
I see her online, but she's muted. 你喺度嘛？你聽到我講嘢嘛？
As soon as she is able to unmute, is there
如果你可以打開麥，你可以講嘢。
I can go ahead and speak, and then translator, if she is able to unmute at any time, just allow her to go ahead and speak and interrupt. That's as I go through what actions we've taken to make this possible. We're happy to go ahead, and I'll pause as soon as she can unmute.
Okay. 你幾時打得開你嘅麥，你就可以開始講嘢，你唔使等下。我哋依家開始就繼續進行啦。如果你打得到開你嘅麥，你就開始講嘢，你唔使等。
Okay, so in an effort to ensure that we had a translator available at the time of the commission meeting, we entered into a special contract.
為咗我哋今日嘅呢個聽證會咧，係會有翻譯嘅服務咧，我哋就係簽咗一份嘅特別嘅合同啦。
So this contract ensured that we had a translator available. They started at 9 o'clock to help facilitate the petitioner to be able to do a mic check and be ready to go at 9:30.
咁呢個合同咧就確保我哋有一個翻譯可以上線幫助翻譯。就今日9點開始就幫助我哋嘅呢個請願人咧，就係去 check 咗佢個mic 啦，然後我哋亦都可以聽到佢講嘢，亦都可以做咗呢個檢查，喺9點半開始正式開始嘅。
This contract also called for a practice session on Tuesday, March 10th, of which the same translator participated.
我哋亦都幾日前咧做咗一次練習嘅會議，同一個翻譯亦都進行過呢個檢查嘅。
To ensure the petitioner received the correct information to participate in the practice run on March 10th, as well as then had the instructions for today, we drafted an email and sent it to the translator to have it translated and emailed to the petitioner.
為咗確保3月10號練習嘅嗰啲所有嘅信息得到正確嘅指示咧，我哋就係寫咗一封電子郵件，然後就由翻譯人員咧翻譯咗，用電子郵件嘅方式咧就係寄咗俾我哋嘅請願人㗎啦。
The email said, "Dear Petitioner Adams, as a petitioner at the Washington State Gambling Commission's March 12th, 2026 commission meeting, we would like to conduct a test on March 10th for you to log into the meeting, where we will provide a pre-scheduled Cantonese interpreter at 11 o'clock to ensure connectivity."
呢個電子郵件嘅呢個內容就係咧我哋嘅親愛嘅請願者 Adams 咧華盛頓州嘅呢個賭博委員會嘅請願書就係3月12號咧委員會會議，我哋希望喺3月10號進行一個測試，以便你喺3月12號登錄到我哋嘅會議嗰陣時咧，我哋係預先安排好嘅呢個粵語翻譯俾你，確保我哋嘅連結冇問題。
It goes on to say, after the test meeting, you will join the meeting again on March 12th for our regularly scheduled commission meeting, where we will call on you to join either virtually or by phone.
呢個測試會議結束之後咧，你會喺3月12日咧再次加入會議，我哋會然後通過電話咧，抑或線上網上嘅會議咧，就係叫你參與真正個3月12號嘅呢個聽證會會議。
The virtual login and phone numbers with codes are provided below.
我哋就係線上登錄加入會議，抑或電話號碼嘅代碼喺今日嘅呢個電郵入邊亦都有寫出嚟嘅。
The email goes to give state March 10th, 2026, 11 a.m. PST. It then gives a link to click here to join the virtual meeting. It gives the meeting ID, passcode, also gives an option to join the meeting by phone and provides the conference ID number.
呢個電郵咧係喺2026年3月10號咧，就係11點 PST 朝頭早咧就寄出嘅。咁然後咧個電郵入邊亦都有呢次會議嘅呢個連結，仲有會議嘅 ID 密碼，仲提供咗通過電話加入會議，並且提供會議 ID 號嘅選項。
The email goes on to provide a March 12th, 2026, 9 a.m. PST link to join the meeting by clicking here to join. Provides the meeting ID number, the passcode, the phone number to join the meeting on the 12th, as well as the conference ID number.
電子郵件咧繼續就係提供咗3月12號2026年3月12號9點 PST 嘅一個入會連結，仲有提供嘅會議 ID 編號、密碼、電話號碼以及加入12月會議，仲有會議 ID 編號。
The email goes on to state for the March 12th meeting, please allow a few minutes for the application to sync with your device. Note all attendees' cameras and microphones will be automatically disabled when entering the meeting. As a pre-registered presenter, your microphone will be enabled when you join the meeting.
呢個電子郵件咧就繼續咁樣説明咧3月12號嘅會議嘅狀態，就係你可以早幾分鐘上線以便我哋嘅呢個 APP 咧同我哋嘅設備可以同步。請注意所有參與者嘅相機仲有麥咧就會除非你係預先註冊，否則嘅話咧你嘅麥就會就係關閉嘅。但係如果你預先註冊咗之後咧，你加入會議嗰陣時，你嘅麥就可以啟用㗎啦。
The email goes on to say a few things to keep in mind. Please state your name and affiliation for the record as you begin. Speak up clearly.
電子郵件就繼續講幾件事係需要注明嘅。第一就係説明你嘅姓名啦，仲有關係，以便你喺開始嗰陣時咧，我哋可以記錄低。仲有你講嘢嗰陣時要清楚咁講嘢。
Be mindful of your visual background. Use a virtual background if possible.
要注意你嘅視覺嘅背景啦，如果可能嘅話咧，請你使用一個虛擬嘅呢個背景。
Unusual items or scenery may be distracting. Be mindful of background noise. It is distracting and creates a situation where the commissioners cannot hear you accurately.
嗰啲不尋常嘅物品啊，抑或風景咧，可能會分散注意力，所以你要注意一下。仲要就係要注意背景嘅呢啲噪音，佢可能會分散我哋嘅注意力，而並且會造成我哋嘅專員咧冇辦法準確咁樣聽到你嘅情況。
Goes on to say after the conclude microphone.
講咧就係你講完你個證詞之後咧，你就會被靜音㗎啦。你個相機仲有你個麥咧，就會俾我哋嘅工作人員咧就係咁用嘅。
If you have any questions regarding this process, please contact Shannon Moore or Erica Davis. It provides the email link to both Shannon and Erica.
如果你對於成個過程有任何嘅疑問咧，你可以聯繫 Shannon Moore 又或 Eric Davis，下邊亦都有提供兩者。
I'm gonna look to Shannon. When was this email sent?
Shannon 呢個電郵係幾時發送嘅呢？
We'll get that information out. So, and then staff reported back the afternoon of Tuesday, March 10th, that the test was successful. The test was carried out here at LCB.
我哋陣間將呢個郵件發出嘅時間再次報告，然後我哋嘅工作人員喺3月10號星期二下晝報告咧，我哋當時嘅呢個測試係成功嘅。
At that time, on the 10th, staff reported that the translator and the petitioner Adams were with
報告3月10翻譯人員仲有請願人咧 Adams 咧係可以溝通嘅，然後同我哋嘅工作團體亦都可以進行溝通。
And the email was sent to petitioner Adams that I just read on March 5th.
嗰個電郵係
Adams to get petitioner Adams successfully into and able to speak in the meeting.
大概今日朝頭早9點左右咧，我哋嘅請願人 Adam 仲有翻譯人員，仲有我哋嘅工作人員咧，就開始使用各種唔同嘅方式。
For
呢個 Adam 請願人進入我哋嘅會議之後咧，我哋工作人員咧嘗試就將佢個麥咧就嗰個靜音就係取消。
problems were encountered and staff reached out and tried to communicate via phone with petitioner Adams and also sent screenshots of instructions of how to unmute on her side.
當時係有少少問題嘅，所以我哋嘅工作人員咧就要通過電郵咧就係寄咗一啲截圖咧俾我哋嘅請願人 Adams 咧，俾佢知道如何可以取消佢嘅靜音。
Prior to the meeting this morning, we were able to connect and have audio received from petitioner Adams.
會議正式開始之前咧，我哋係可以聽到我哋今日嘅呢個請願人 Adams 講嘢嘅，係可以同佢溝通，亦都有聽到佢説話。
And we can see phone number 503-358-4052. It's believed to be petitioner Adams, who's contacted us from that number earlier today. The petitioner Adams is on the line now.
我哋係可以睇到一個電話號碼503-358-4052，呢個應該係相信係 Adam 請願者佢個電話號碼，亦都係今朝同我哋聯繫講嘢嗰個電話號碼嚟嘅。
Teams indicates that that number has been unmuted, and at this time we'll see if Petitioner Adams can provide verbal comment.
好，我哋嘅團隊表示呢，呢個號碼依家已經係靜音咗嘅，係取消靜音嘅啦，已經係靜音緊嘅。所以依家試下睇下我哋嘅 petitioner Adams 咧，就係請願人 Adams 咧係是否可以提供口頭嘅評論？你講得到嘢嗎？
All right, thank you for that. So, yes, so commission and staff has done a lot to ensure that this hearing worked well, and I appreciate the efforts. Unfortunately, it does appear we are still having some technical difficulties. That being said, instead of taking action right now, I'm going to move this tab 1 to the end of the meeting, wherein the petitioner has from now until then to provide us with written comment and written comment only regarding this. So,
sorry. 好，咁睇起嚟，我哋工作人員做咗好多事情嚟確保我哋今次嘅聽證會係會可以運作良好嘅。好感謝你哋嘅努力，但係視乎咧，我哋依家仍然係面對一啲技術性嘅問題，所以依家我就唔會喺馬上採取行動㗎啦。我會將我哋呢個 Tab 1咧移到會議結束之後再去做呢個判決啦。所以你作為請願人咧，你可以之後咧提供書面嘅呢個評論抑或證詞俾我哋，因為你依家打開唔到麥講嘢，你之後用書面嘅呢個證詞寄俾我哋。
Second. Okay, so yes, so if the petitioner can get written comment to us by the end of the meeting, we will take that into account and then take a vote.
好，如果你可以通過書面嘅方式、寫嘅方式，就係將你嘅評語，抑或你嘅證詞就係發表俾我哋咧，我哋就係可以就係開始投票啦。我哋會考慮你嘅證詞，然後開始投票啦。
All right, great, thank you. We are going to now move on to tab 2, which is the consent agenda. We have the February 12th commission meeting minutes and the new licenses and Class 3 gaming employees. Do we have any questions or comments from commissioners? Not seeing any. Do we have a motion?
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented by staff.
Any further discussion?
Second.
Oh, sorry, yes. Any further discussion? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 All right, the motion passes. Next, we'll move to Executive Director Griffin in her reports.
Morning, commissioners. We can go to the next slide. So probably people have heard lots and lots of talk over many, many years about us needing to replace our legacy systems that enable us to conduct operations on a daily basis. And so we are finally getting close to the finish line. So when we talk about replacing our legacy systems, it's the legacy systems that operate my account, that operate our licensing, case reporting, timekeeping, and billing functions. So that's, you know, basically everything that allows us to stay in operations on a daily basis. These legacy systems are well over 20 years old, and so obviously we're excited to have a new cloud-based system on the Dynamics 365 Microsoft platform. Moving forward with this project over the last few years, our goals were to ensure that we would have a modern, adaptable system that would provide increased business efficiency both for internal and external users, as well as increase employee satisfaction and have a system that we could actually keep updated, right? And so it would certainly reduce the risks of those legacy systems that are well beyond end of life. Next slide, please. But with new technology comes a lot of change. And so there are some major changes coming to my account. Again, whole new platform. So my account users, this is what it's going to look like a little bit into the future. So everyone will be required to submit online applications, quarterly license reports, etc., unless licensees have a waiver. Also, we will be able to communicate directly with our licensees in my account and applicants through my account rather than through email. It's going to provide an opportunity for licensees and applicants, those that use my account, to load documents directly into my account rather than have, you know, separate emails and communication back and forth. So all of that can be contained within my account. Also, it will allow employers to see all their current licensed gaming employees, certified, registered, eligible employees, as well as the status of all of those employees' license actions through my account, which is not something they're able to do now. And then another big change is, instead of having multiple license numbers, organizations will have one license number, and that will cover all of their activities. And that will happen as organizations renew, then they will receive that one new license number. Also, my account users will be able to select or appoint different roles for access and functionality within my account. So there can be segregation of duties and allow more flexibility and opportunities to use the different features in my account. For example, there will be roles for organizational accounting staff to pay invoices and billings where they may not have then access to application materials. So that's going to be very helpful. Also, we're going to post invoices in my account now, and they will have the ability to pay invoices in my account. So that's going to be a much more secure messaging system for those invoices rather than emailing them. And also, organizations will be able to see, external users will be able to see credits in my account, and that's something new that we haven't really done before in terms of providing credits. So these are just a very few of the new features and functionalities that will be available to external users. Next slide, please. Some of the biggest things obviously will be, so there's a great deal of number of changes, right? But here's just a really high level view of the main things, right? Payment flexibility. Only individuals have been able to pay by credit card as an option. Now anyone will be able to pay by credit card. And also, again, all applications were hoping that they come in through online, but then you can pay, even though if you submit online, you'll still have the option to pay by mail with a check or pay online. And again, you'll have the ability to see all of the outstanding invoices and pay directly through my account. Talked about the multiple users for each organization. And even though you have multiple users, those users will actually be able to switch between businesses much more readily rather than going out and logging completely back in through SAW. Also, you'll be able to track in real time the application processes. So you'll instead of having to email us and say, hey, where's this application at? Did you receive it? You know, hey, it's been a week, what's going on? You'll actually be able to see for each application where things are at in the process. So that will be good. And lastly, like I said, less emails, and we'll be using secure messaging in my account. So you'll be able to track what that flow and communication is, communicate directly with staff, and they can respond through secure messaging that will link into your email. So you'll know when you'll have notifications about when you have messages in your My Account. But the other big thing is you'll be able to upload documents. So again, once you upload documents into My Account, for example, you won't have to upload IC changes, right? Internal control changes. You won't have to email those. You can just upload those. They will go directly to the group that will review those, for example, game submissions, etc., or even documents after you submit the initial application. So things will be all tied together with your application through My Account. Next slide, please. So this has been a long journey. Actually, for some of us, it started well out into 2020 or before. But once we decided on a solution, this is what's tracking the solution pickup. Staff has spent a great deal of number of hours working on this project. And it's quite amazing because just a year ago, we were still determining scope, what was going to be the scope that we could move forward with in terms of our business requirements. You can see with this timeline that system development didn't actually begin until late March, and the first system coding actually wasn't delivered until May of last year. So it's quite remarkable, I think, to have all of these new components in this new platform and deliverables in just about 1 year from when we actually started testing the first deliverables. We did talk about an initial go live date in January or February, and we have now pushed that go live date to a firm May 11th. Pushing the timeline was necessary because we needed more time to make sure that we were thoroughly prepared internally, as well as making sure our external users are thoroughly prepared for what's coming ahead as well. So this provides more opportunities for training, both internally and externally, as well as making sure that we have a seamless cutover in May, because not only do we have to worry about the coding, but we also need to make sure that data migration is solid and secure, because we need to make sure that data is validated, etc. So this will allow more testing and training time, and also readiness for go live. And so a few things to keep in mind, and we're really going to start our communication push now. Next slide, please. So you'll be hearing about all of these important dates and key things to keep in mind quite a bit late in the upcoming future. So what happens to what you need to know and be prepared for go live? So on April 30th at 11:59 p.m., those of you that are still awake at that time, My Account will no longer be available for a period between that time and May 11th. So that means that any applications or anything that you need to submit to the agency would have to be through mail or email. The self-exclusion list will not be available. Agents will be working with their house bank cardroom licensees on how to address any, how to make sure that they're prepared for that down period of the self-exclusion list not being available because my account is not available. Really important to keep in mind, quarterly license reports and fees are due and payable by April 30th at 11:59. So all of that will be submitted through the current My Account. So you will not have an opportunity to submit late quarterly license reports and pay fees online between May 1st and May 11th. Also, no licenses, permits, certifications, eligibility determinations, or registrations will be issued from May 1st to May 11th. Next slide, please. We already talked about, it's really important that everybody pay on time and submit on time their quarterly license fees and quarterly license payments. If you have, and this is also important for organizational licensees, because by April 24th, if all the applications and renewals that we've received for individuals, we will make sure that we get those issued by May 1st. Anything that comes in anything that comes in after April 24th will be pending, and it will not be processed until most likely May 18th, on or about May 18th. So there's gaps there, and that's why we really need to get this messaging out quickly. It's also important for everyone to keep in mind that any pending applications, pending renewals, pending QLRs, QLFs, anything left in the My Account shopping cart on April 24th will be removed, and you will have to reinitiate all of those transactions in the new My Account system after May 11th. Next slide, please. So those are just a few important dates and times, but most importantly, we urge everyone to attend the various training opportunities that we have. So there's already some short little demos and clips about changes coming to My Account. Those are already available. More specifically, we have training webinars that will occur on April 2nd. And so there you can go online. We'll have a QR code on the next slide that you can use to register for those webinars. These are some of the topics that each webinar will cover. There will be time for Q&A after each webinar as well. And then we will post videos mid-April covering various different topics that are listed here. And then we'll also most likely be having some sort of written material available. We're exploring that. So there are a number of different mechanisms that we are making available so that hopefully we're able to address the various formats in which people learn differently and take information in. So next slide, please. Again, how can you prepare? Register for the webinars on April 2nd. We urge you to do that. Watch the training videos mid-April 6th, maybe after 12. Little typo there, but also you can sign up for our updates at the Gambling Commission. That way we can communicate directly with you with our updates. Here's a QR code. You can visit our website. It will take you straight to our website page on changes coming to My Account. So we are excited that we are locked into a go live date, and excited for all the changes that are coming for our internal and external users. That's all I have for you. Thank you.
All right, great, thank you. Next, we will move to tab 3, which is the fiscal year 2026 budget update with Christina Hansen, our Chief Financial Officer.
Thank you. Good morning, Commissioners. For the record, Christina Hansen, I'm CFO at the Gambling Commission. I'm before you today to give you a budget update. I generally do that after each quarter to update you on our revenue stats and our outlook. And I'll also be providing some information today about the budget for our IT modernization. So next slide, please. So when we initiated this project, we dedicated $9.1 million in our operational fund to be able to modernize our IT system. And that was, sorry, I realized my slide's a little small. So the $9.1 million was fully obligated for this project. And you can see here in this slide that we fully utilized that $9.1 million with an estimated $8,000 overrun. These numbers that you see here in this slide represent what the costs of the project, the anticipated final cost of the project would be had we gone live at the end of February. So next slide, please. So the go live extension, the additional costs are for contractors. We have various contractors to assist with this project. Well, we do not have any additional staff costs for the project because we had already budgeted for them to be assigned to the project through June 30. So just to go through our list of who these folks are and what they're doing for us, Integrated Solution Groups is our mandatory QA quality assurance contractor. Because we're under WATEC oversight for this project, we're required to have an independent third-party quality assurance contractor. They are on the project through the end of the project, but their contract dollars that had been assigned were sufficient to to extend their performance date to align with our new go live. So there is no additional funding needed for that contract. Carasoft is our software implementer. So the money that we have, the additional $476,000 is due to some system rework and change requests, not fully related to the extension of the go live date, but additional costs that we did not anticipate in the first slide of the original budget. So they're listed here. The Simple Square contracts and the Artesia, we're a very small agency, so we do not have full-time IT staff to support this level of an effort for this project. So we've had to contract various IT staff to help us. So those three contracts are project-related IT experts that are helping us. And then the McClure Group, I always stumble on that. They're called MC Squared. They're organizational change management contractor. That's what OCM stands for. So they are helping us with internal and external communication and making sure that everyone is ready for this level of a change. So the moving from the end of February for go live to May 11th, the estimated costs are $888,000. Though some of that may come in a little under that because some of these contractors are based on hourly rates. So this would be the maximum additional project cost for the go live extension. So next slide, please. So altogether with the original budget and the estimated extension costs, our project's coming out at $10 million. And after go live, my budget presentation that happens after go live will include a wrap up of our final project costs. Next slide, please. Oh, so our fiscal year begins in July 1 of each year. And so this is our revenue overview from July through January. So our projected revenues were based on historical reporting levels of gross gambling receipts and the rates that are set in WAC. And then the actual is what we've collected. So year to date for July through January of 2026, we had projected $10.8 million in revenue, and our actual is 11.5 million. So just slightly over our projections for $660,000. Next slide, please. So our expenditure review. When I came before the commission in the July meeting, we presented the 25-27 biennium budget, the amount approved, and that included the approval for the expenditures for this fiscal year. So when I broke that out monthly, the projected expenditures for July through January were $11.3 million. Our actual expenditures have been 10.6. So we're under expended, or we have a cost savings of $725,000. A portion of that is staffing. We anticipate a 10% vacancy rate in the agency. That's pretty standard across agencies because of the time it takes to recruit and fill positions when people leave or retire. Next slide, please. So the fiscal year 26 budget that was approved in July was a total of $21 million. This does not include the IT modernization budget because we're tracking that separately. Our July through January actual expenditures were $10.6 million. And our budget expenditures for the remainder of the fiscal year, which is February through June, is a maximum of $8.3 million. And then, as I presented, in the previous slide, our additional costs for the go live extension was $888,000. And all this to say that because of our savings the cost savings that we've seen in the first 7 months of the fiscal year, we were able to extend that go live date without having to ask for additional expenditure authority. So we are well within our approved expenditure budget for this fiscal year. Next slide, please. So our available fund balance, again, as of the end of January, this looks a little different than previous presentations. We discussed in the past that we were encumbering contracts to reflect that we had a significant fund balance because of our project. So you can see here that in addition to I'm not sure what that noise is. In addition to the things that we generally display, our beginning fund balance, and then we're all aware of the $2.2 million that was transferred from our fund to the general fund, our year-to-date revenue and expenditures. We have a new section here that's called the obligated funds. And so what we did is we went through an exercise called encumbering funds, where we can enter into the statewide accounting system that we expect to spend this money. And so we did that so that everyone, legislative staff, OFM, anyone looking at our fund balance can understand that we do need those dollars. So doing all of that math and also encumbering our contracts that we haven't done in the past, such as obligations we have to other agencies because they provide services for us, or our contract that's required to have our cost allocation model reviewed. We've never encumbered those before, and we did that this year to show and to signal that we have plans for those funds. So taking all that into consideration, and then our other planned expenditures, we're still working on taking our paper records and digitizing them into our record management system. And then we've also initiated a project to relocate our Spokane office. And then our reserved funds, OFM requires us to have a working capital reserve. Ours is approximately 3 months of expenditure since our revenue cycles quarterly. So after you do all that math and account for everything that we know that we have plans for in terms of contracts and other expenditures, our available fund balance as of the end of January is $1.9 million. Next slide, please. So that was our current state. This is our projected available fund balance over time. I know that this graph is kind of hard to see because it's small up on the screen. This slide deck will be posted to the website after our meeting for everybody to be able to view this more clearly. Just some basic orientation to this graph for anybody that's not familiar. The bluish bars that move from 0 upwards is our quarterly revenue, our projected quarterly revenue. The gray bars that go from 0 downwards are our projected expenditures. The red line represents our available fund balance, and the blue line at the very bottom indicates where below 0 is in terms of what our working capital balance is. So anywhere that the red line is below 0 but above that blue line means we're using our working capital balance to support agency expenditures. So you can see from this that by March of 27, which is about halfway through the graph, we are at 0 as far as our fund balance goes. And the slight upticks that you see, which is where the there's boxes around the numbers, that's the end of every fiscal year. We have an uptick in revenue in that quarter because we made a rule change to have organizations all be licensed from July 1 through June 30 of each year. That means all organizations have to pay their renewal fees by June 30. So we do see an uptick in revenue in those quarters. So if our projections all hold true, then we would expect to be utilizing our working capital balance after March of 27. This bar chart or this graph does include the cost of a go live extension that I've presented, and also it does include the up to $2 million for post go live enhancements that was approved at a previous commission meeting. The next time that I'll be presenting an update will be at the July meeting because we don't have a June meeting. And at that time, I'll be providing another update on another quarterly cycle of our revenue, as well as presenting the fiscal year 27 supplemental budget request. Given that we can see here that we would anticipate being at 0 in our available fund balance in March of 27, and because we can only adjust licensing rates annually, I would likely introduce conversation about the possible need for fee adjustments at that time. So just a reminder that even if we chose to initiate rulemaking, in the July meeting, it takes about 6 months to move through the rulemaking process. But regardless of when the rule is effective, we can only change those rates at the beginning of each license year. So if we had rules ready and approved, in December, say, we still wouldn't be able to change any of the rates until the next license cycle, which would be July. So that is my presentation. Next slide, please. It's just the question slide. So,
Commissioners have any questions? Doesn't look like it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, next we will go to tab 4, which is the 2026 legislative session report. Trisha Goulion, the legislative manager.
Good morning, Trisha Gullion, Legislative and Rules Manager. Today is the 60th and final day of the 2026 legislative session. And I do have some good news. Unlike last year, which Crescenda mentioned in her presentation, the legislature did not take any more of our money. So good news that in the supplemental operating budget, no transfers from the Gambling Commission to the general fund this year. So we are very excited and happy about that. During the interim, when the legislature is not in session, staff met with the budget writers. We met with their staff and nonpartisan staff and staff of the Office of Financial Management to just share more information about our budget and how our fees and how everything kind of works and how we don't receive general fund dollars, just to give them more of a complete picture on how our budget works. So we did a lot of homework to educate them during that time. During this legislative session, we have had 2 commissioners that were confirmed by the Senate. So much like the federal level, when the governor makes an appointee, the state Senate needs to confirm them. And so Commissioners Charles and Scarpet have been confirmed. And then finally, there was one gambling related bill that has been making its way through the legislature this year. Senate Bill 6137 is on its way to the governor right now. And this legislation would authorize wagering on in-state college sports teams, as well as allow a wager to be placed at one tribal facility with a server or hub located at a second tribal gaming facility. The House did add some anti-harassment language and an amendment that prohibits sport or prop bets on in-state college athletes, coaches, and officials. And like I mentioned, today is the last day. And so unless anything wild happens, which is not out of the question, that is a wrap on the 2026 legislative session.
All right, thank you very much. Does anybody have any questions for Tricia and us commissioners? All right, thank you, Tricia. Appreciate it. Now we will take a break for 9 minutes and return at 10. Well, now it's 8 minutes. The clock changed. Return at 10:40. And we will begin. Yeah, be back. Next, we have tab 5, which is the Evergreen Council on Problem Gambling presentation. Tana Russell and Paulina and Jeremy Whitaker. Correct?
Hi.
But,
Hello.
ladies, hit the button on the mic. There we go.
All right. Hi, my name is Tana Russell. Thank you for having us. I am the Deputy Director of the Evergreen Council on Problem Gambling, and I've been with the council since 2019. And I am joined by Paulina Ziskowski, who is our Prevention and Community Outreach Specialist, and I'll turn it over to her in just a minute. Welcome to Problem Gambling Awareness Month, which is March every year. Also, the second Tuesday of every month is Gambling Disorder Screening Day, and you'll see that on slide 2. Every year we do a Problem Gambling Awareness Month campaign, which focuses both on the general population and a specific population. Here's an example of one of our ads for social media on that. It started in February and runs not only through March, but also into May. This captures traffic and calls for help all through Problem Gambling Awareness Month and afterward. We do often see spikes to helpline calls, both when we're running a campaign and also driven by things like major sporting events, Super Bowl, Olympics, March Madness, etc. And then on the next slide, you'll see some information on our secondary focus population, which is youth and young adults this year.
Hi, so again, my name is Paulina Ziskowski, Prevention and Community Outreach Specialist. So as part of PGAM this year and informed by market research with youth, we decided to partner with Jeremiah, who is a social media influencer. He is signed with Seattle University Redhawks to play basketball. We decided to include influencers and younger adults posting their own personalized content onto their social media pages this year because we found that is a really good way to connect with the younger population. And he has approval through his leadership, through his coach, to be providing these videos to us. So far, he has recorded 2. And he talks about a variety of topics that include risk analysis and being aware of your own habits and also how to look out for your friends. This slide shows our new page called Empower Inspire. That is the name of our campaign for youth this year in PGAM and also just going forward through the rest of the year. Our target audience is youth, young adults, and adult allies. That includes parents and guardians, teachers and coaches, and other professionals such as school counselors and mental health counselors. So this landing page includes free resources for all of these groups. There are fact sheets that are specific to youth, fact sheets that are specific to parents, what they should know, resources and conversation starters, also between youth to youth so that they know how to raise concerns if they notice potentially harmful habits in one another. The next slide shows Youth Have the Power, which is a program that we have had launched now for over a year. It is a little separate from the PGAM campaign, but very similar messaging of prevention and education. This one targets ages 9 to 25. There are 3 separate curriculums, 9 to 12, 13 to 16, 17 plus. So the content is age appropriate for problem gambling information. It is self-directed, it is free, and it is interactive. So it is available to basically anyone in the state who, or in the country, it is not specific to Washington State at the moment, who just wants to have a better understanding of what is on the next slide, the content. So better understanding of what is gambling, gambling addiction, gambling in video games, how to protect yourself from gambling harms, and treatment and recovery. So this is a program that we have marketed and introduced to youth groups and schools throughout the state and have gotten really good feedback on the content. The next slide shows as well an expansion of that program, which includes workshops for students and also train-the-trainer models for educators, behavioral health staff to then learn the content and then have that information and those resources to provide to youth in their own communities. And these workshops cover dopamine and its role in addiction, gambling disorder, healthy tech habits and digital wellness, healthy coping strategies, and goal setting.
Thank you. And I'll add one more aspect of the Youth Have the Power program in addition to the curriculum. It also offers challenges which they can engage in to earn points, which they can then redeem for awards. It is job and store model with the awards, with the challenges being clearly marked with their points and the awards being clearly marked with their points. So it teaches them what gambling can look like online or in video games, and then shows them what gambling does not look like when you are earning something and you know exactly what you're going to get when you pay money for it. It's a way to incentivize them engaging in healthy behaviors and protective factors while also making it adaptable to various cultural and religious identities. So a young person participating in the program could do challenges, for example, where they talk to a tribal elder or a religious leader or a school counselor or what have you to interview them about a mental health or behavioral health topic that's important to them. Anyway, it's just a neat aspect of the program. So in addition to that, we also are simultaneously running a sports betting campaign. Now this campaign has been going on since November. If you want to go to the next slide. It started in November and is also going through March and through March Madness. We release information. This campaign runs on traditional broadcast TV, digital ads and social media, radio, streaming, and podcasts. We do have a partnership with the Massachusetts Council on Gaming and Health. And so when the Super Bowl was going between our two states, we also released a joint press release, which is featured on the next slide, which was picked up by many platforms, as you can see there, both our own sports betting press release and the joint one with Massachusetts. The National Council on Problem Gambling picked it up and shared it as well. And then on the last slide is some analytics from the sports betting campaign. I had a meeting with our communications manager yesterday because I don't speak in social media impressions, but he does. And so he translated this a bit for me and gave me some more current numbers. Essentially, the impressions are any views or eyes on the ads. And what the number on the left is essentially what we purchased, about 2.2 to 2.8 million impressions. But then what we got as of today is now 8.7 million impressions. So it is overperforming. That's a good thing. All right, and next we're going to tell you about some materials we have been producing in partnership with the Gambling Commission.
So this is a preview of the new Washington State Gambling Commission rack cards. They will be available in 11 languages plus English. Those languages are Spanish, Korean, Arabic, simplified Chinese, traditional Chinese, Vietnamese, Russian, Khmer, Hindi, Thai, and Tagalog. And these are informed by our previous materials of showcasing positivity and cultural expression in our materials to make them relevant to our audiences. And they are currently in final review by our translators and will be available soon.
Thank you. And lastly, before we turn it over to our partners with the Healthcare Authority, thanks to their partnership, along with some rather strategic collaboration with the University of Washington and GAMFIN, we are now able to provide free financial counseling services for those engaged in gambling treatment in the state of Washington, which is something that the counselors in our state have been asking for years. So the gambling counselors can now refer their clients to GAMFIN, which are specialists in providing financial counseling services for specifically individuals who have been impacted by gambling. And this pilot program covers that for them, and it'll be followed by a assessment and evaluation of the program afterward to make decisions on moving forward. And Jeremy's the guru of that, so he may talk about it again in a minute. All right, and that's all. We'll turn it over to HCA.
Great, thank you. Now we have Roxanne Waldron and Jeremy Whitaker from the Healthcare Authority. Welcome.
Hi, Chair, Vice Chair, Commissioners, and ex officios, although I know ex officios are probably very busy today. For the record, I'm Roxanne Waldron. I'm the State Problem Gambling Program Administrator at the Healthcare Authority in the Division of Behavioral Health and Recovery. And we really appreciate this opportunity to tell you about the work we've been doing this past year. So thank you. I'm also accompanied by my colleague, Jeremy Whitaker, who is our Problem Gambling Prevention Coordinator. He's been with us a year now. It's super exciting. That's the brand new position we added last year. And as you know, it's Problem Gambling Awareness Month, so we are here. And in a few minutes, Jeremy will share several new prevention initiatives that we've launched for 2026. So we're excited to be here because we feel like things are actually moving in a great direction. So we want to share all that work. So next slide, please. So as you know, the doubling of our funding happened in a bill that came into in July of 2023 took effect, and that was Bill SB 5634. And so our program continues to implement the recommendations of the Problem Gambling Task Force, and also we have oversight by the Disordered Gambling Advisory Work Group, the DGAW. And in the 2025-2027 biennium, our program is focused on these four areas: implementing a year-round problem gambling prevention program focused on youth and young adults that is aligned with our other HCA prevention efforts. We have in-house prevention efforts that have already been going on for a long time, and that's a lot of the work that Jeremy's been doing to build both with our internal partners and our external partners to grow this program. And then the second one is expanding access to the free problem gambling treatment, which we've been offering for years, but we also now can offer that via telehealth, also in person, and we're working on expanding that. We're increasing funding for clinical training. Most of that is through the Evergreen Council, but I will talk about one thing we're doing that is our own initiative. And then also we've been really seeking to add more data sources because it's hard to make decisions when you don't have data about what's important. So since 2019, the network of our contracted problem gambling treatment providers went up and down during COVID. Quite a few agencies decided to streamline, drop their problem gambling program, treatment programs. And then some people decided it was a great time to retire and lots of other factors. So in 2019, we had 16 providers that we contracted with that were mostly agencies, dropped down to 10 by 2023. So we've been rebuilding that. So as of right now, we have 17 contracted providers. We're adding 3 more next month. So we'll have 20 contracted providers. That includes both agencies and sole proprietors across the state. And then one of our goals was also to add speakers of Spanish. So we would be able to expand that. We have other goal languages as well. but we are going as quickly as we can. The Evergreen Council offers clinical training, and it takes about 1 to 2 years for folks to move through that. So we're also contracting with certified gambling counselors in training with appropriate supervision so we can expand faster rather than having to wait till they're fully certified. They are licensed mental health counselors and substance use disorder professionals already, so they are simply adding this piece. Okay, so based on the funding availability and new problem gambling providers in that training pipeline that we talked about, we're going to continue to expand our treatment network across the state. We've identified 11 areas in the report in 2022 from the problem gambling task force of areas where we needed to have more clinicians. So we are working on that. And then, as Tana Russell mentioned, in collaboration with the Evergreen Council, we launched this pilot program for GAMFIN, which she described. The referral is done by the problem gambling treatment clinician to GAMFIN, where clients receive an intake and several sessions with a professional financial counselor who has been trained specifically to work with gambling clients. So next slide, please. Okay, so she did mention also that the Center for the Study of Health and Risk Behaviors, which the acronym is CSHRB, at the University of Washington will conduct an evaluation of the GAMFIN so that we can decide if that's something we want to continue to fund and fund it to serve more clients than we're currently able to serve. And then once we've done that, we'll make a decision about funding that more in the future. And then also, they will also be conducting 2 additional evaluations for prevention projects that Jeremy will talk about in a minute. One is a new media campaign, and the other is local problem gambling prevention grants. So as you may recall, the state program does contract each biennium with Evergreen Council on Problem Gambling to provide training days and scholarships for clinical training. We've increased that amount in this biennium. And also, I'd mentioned that we at HCA are funding our own training, which is a 2-day free clinical training and symposium in Kent on May 18th and 19th. It's called Many Pathways, One Purpose, Culturally Grounded Clinical Training and Healing for Gambling Disorders. So that event is hosted by this great new organization called the Show Me Foundation. And their stated mission is to create a more inclusive and culturally competent mental health workforce. So they've done several events so far. We did a clinical training with them last year that was super well received and popular. And they also bring in presenters and trainers from across the country of different ethnicities with experience in mental health, substance use disorder, problem gambling, lived experience, et cetera. So we're super excited about adding that piece. So to wrap up my updates, we are also excited that we are adding some new data sources. Maybe that doesn't excite everybody, but it does excite us. The most recent big survey, as you might remember, we did in 2021. That was our Washington State Adult Problem Gambling Prevalence Study. And we would like to conduct that again. That was a big, expensive study, so we may have to wait till another biennium or 2, but we will get there. In the meantime, we've been working with our partners at the Healthcare Authority and the Department of Health to have problem gambling and online gaming questions added to regularly run surveys in Washington State. This is much more financially what we can do right now. And it's been great because they actually collect a lot of data. So the first one is the 2025 Healthy Use Survey, which just ran. We had 1 question added over the last couple of times they ran it. Now we have 2. The second one is more looking at what are youth doing online? Like, what are they doing? Because if we ask them if they're gambling, but they don't know if what they're doing is gambling, that doesn't really help us. So we really want to know what is it they're doing so we can look at that overlap. Then the next is the 2025 Young Adult Health Survey, has almost identical questions. This is the first time we've had any questions added to that survey, so we're super excited to see what the results of that are. Again, this will help drive the prevention activities as well as where we may need to increase treatment. So we're really excited about that. And then finally, our big coup was to be included on the Behavioral Risk Factor Surveillance System, which is called BRFIS. It was begun in 1984, and it's conducted across the U.S. on an annual basis, and it's the largest continuously conducted health survey in the world. So this is a big deal. States can add specific questions. Of course, they have to pay. And so this time we are paying, but not too much, for to add a module on problem gambling. So we have several new questions that will be added to that. They collect everything from what kind of vegetables do you eat to all kinds of things. And so we can do a lot of correlations with that data. We're super excited about that. And then all this additional data, as I mentioned, will help us pinpoint where we should be putting our problem gambling resources. So now I'm going to hand this off to Jeremy to share about our prevention efforts and to wrap up. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And honestly, she was not enthusiastic enough about the Burfess. I am thrilled, okay, giddy. We could cross-reference people who report anxiety and alcohol use, and yes, how many vegetables, and look at that also through the lens of gambling and problem gambling. We actually used the let's say the biosocial screen to look for problem gambling. And so we're really excited to throw an evidence-based screener for problem gambling into this survey, which goes out to about 26,000 people across Washington. And we're going to do it every 2 years so we can establish trend data. It's going to be amazing. You haven't seen it yet, but it's going to be amazing. Sorry, I am Jeremy Whitaker, as it's been said, the problem gambling prevention coordinator here at the state. I'm really going to just try to leave you with 3 things today. I know you've heard a lot already. I've got 3 more, but I'll try to keep it easy. Our first one is we launched our first media campaign. We're really excited. This website went live 2 weeks ago. So if you haven't heard of it, that's okay. If you get bored of what I'm talking about, please go to the website on your screen. It does not look like your normal, boring government website, as you can see from the exploding guy on the screen. And so the idea is that this campaign is aimed specifically at teens 13 to 17, and it really focuses on gambling elements in games and apps. And so some will call it the gamification. Things like loot boxes, skins, in-game purchases, daily spins, all of these elements to get people excited. ECPG mentioned the dopamine hit that people get from these things. And so again, the idea that bring awareness to teens that they can start recognizing these things that are built into things that they already use. Now, this website is not the main part of the campaign. It is a landing spot, a microsite, so it adds legitimacy to the work that we're doing. However, most of it you will not see because you are all too old. Things, again, like, social media buys for, we are paying influencers. We are trying to promote user-generated content. So again, those things are very much aimed at a teen audience. If they accidentally spill into the 18 to 24 space, that's okay. And perhaps at some point we'll target parents specifically so that maybe you will see it. But hopefully not yet. And but that's where we're really just getting started. And so our next push will be to college students. That'll be probably in our next contract, so I have nothing to share with you about it, other than they are a low-hanging fruit as far as that goes. According to the NCPG, 18% of college students have gambled within the past week. So again, you're talking about almost 1 in 5 who are gambling on a very regular basis. And they are twice as likely as an older adult to have symptoms of problem gambling in their gambling. So very much a group we want to get. Also, they're captive. They're on campuses. They have counseling, free counseling available on their campuses. So we can geofence their phones fairly easily and get them ads. So very excited about that. So that is our first one. So very excited. Our next slide. Thank you. The next prong here, sorry, I'm not used to using a script and I'm doing very bad at it, is our local grants. Now, per the RCW, our program must have a year-round integrated problem gambling prevention efforts that include community engagement. And so basically this takes up almost half my budget, and that along with the media campaigns, the vast majority of my biennial budget. And so, and we've actually awarded these. At the time I wrote this slide, we hadn't done that yet. A time called last week, but this week, totally different world. We actually have 5 local grantees. Now, before I tell you about them, to have been eligible, applicants must already be an existing substance use prevention or tobacco and cannabis prevention grantee. So people who already have established networks, who are already in schools, who already have coalitions built. while this is a nice sum of money, it is not enough to start a program from the ground up. So again, we know that this will be embedded in established programs. And again, this helps us meet a requirement from the Joint Task Force to do this. They were saying, you need to do community stuff. Well, again, $225,000 is a nice chunk of money. It is not enough to work in every county or every community in the state. So our 5 sites that have been notified, and we have our first meeting after this one. Very excited to kick this off. We have the Skagit County Hospital District outside of Burlington, Prosser Thrive near the Tri-Cities, Unite Washougal in Clark County, Grant Fire District number 7 in Silver Lake, and ESD 101 in Spokane, but that actually covers 104,000 students in 59 districts over 7 counties. So again, a fairly large area. Again, we are in the contracting phase now. We don't have final implementation plans, but some of these programs, they all look very different. ESD wants to push a curriculum out across the state, their area, where the Grant Fire District is building prevention training into their fire and EMS cadet program. So again, wildly different things at different sites. So again, very excited to see this. And our next slide, my last point. All right, so we talked about the website and the campaign. We talked about local grants. And now we are finishing up in curriculum development. Now, Paulina already mentioned a little bit about Youth Have the Power. And so I am working, very much standing on the shoulders of the Evergreen Council on Fraud and Gambling to help roll out a curriculum for middle and high school. And so the curriculum will consist of 3 45-minute modules, again, age appropriate for middle and high school, that focus on mental health and social-emotional learning objectives. So these are already objectives that every school has to meet. We're going to help them meet them with some, again, information about gambling. Again, we believe this framing helps the content resonate more deeply with young people and fits naturally in with what schools are already prioritizing. Because Washington is a home rule state for education, we cannot make anyone use this, but we can make it available to them. And so it is incumbent upon us to make it engaging, to make schools want to do this. And so this is particularly innovative because other states have school-based curriculum around gambling, but none of them are actually tackling mental health. All the other states are doing odds or financial literacy. We'll be the first state to roll out one that really focuses on mental health. So again, I mentioned that, again, ECPG, we are working closely. We have a meeting Wednesday. She nods. But again, I'm basically going to take their curriculum, rip it apart, try to add evidence-based elements to it, because my dirty secret is I have a doctorate in education. So I will be using pedagogy and best practices to try to create an evidence-based, basically curriculum. Our target rollout, again, is summer of 2026, at least to have it in place, and pilot it in schools this fall. And so my biggest paragraph is actually how we're going to do it, because the hardest part is going to be selling this. We basically have to get out, bang the drum, and get schools to want to do this. And we can't, because we can't make that. And so I'll be leaning on the Student Assistance Program. If you're not familiar with the Student Assistance Program, it's actually funded through HCA in a different, across the aisle from where I sit. And there are about 95 professionals who work in schools across the state working on substance abuse issues. And so they will be, whether they don't know it yet, but they're going to be some of my biggest advocates for this new curriculum. And so we'll be having them help roll it out. I've been working with the Office of the Superintendent of Public Instruction around mental health wellness and creating this as part of a package of mental health wellness curriculum, again, that they will offer up to schools. And then, as I mentioned earlier, new contract with ESD 101. Well-timed. I was so glad they applied because it's like, hey, I've got a curriculum, or at least I will. And so we'll be rolling that out, and not just we'll be piloting it, we'll be evaluating it, and probably fine-tuning it. over the next year. So that are our big 3 initiatives. With that, I would like to thank you for the opportunity to speak today. And if the chair allows, we will be available for questions. I don't know what your time was.
We do have a last slide with our comments.
Oh, yeah. And there's a slide that you can. Hey, there we are. Not me. I'm not. Okay. I'm not the guy in the picture. Okay.
Awesome. Sounds like you all have been very busy. It's great. It's doing great work. Appreciate that. Thank you. Do any of the commissioners have any questions?
Just thank you for the important work you guys are doing. And it's shocking to see like 9-year-olds getting targeted with gambling and video games. But then I think back to playing Wario Land on the Game Boy and having gambling built into that. And it's way more prevalent now. So thank you for all the work you're doing.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate you being here to present today. Next, we have problem gambling awareness presentation with Mark Collier, Special Agent.
Good morning, commissioners, ex officios, and staff. My name is Mark Collier. I'm a special agent assigned to the Regulation and Enforcement Unit, and I'm also assigned to work with our self-exclusion program. Now, being that March is Problem Gambling Awareness Month, I was asked to speak very briefly about some problem gambling information and resources that the Washington State Gambling Commission provides to our licensees, so they in turn can have the information available to their customers and members. And I'm also just going to speak briefly about some information that's being provided by the Gambling Commission to the public via social media. Next slide, please. One thing that the Washington State Gambling Commission is doing during the Problem Gambling Awareness Month is posting public service messages regarding problem gambling on social media. An example would be a post on Facebook on March 9th, and that post reads, "Red flag check. Are you spending more time or money on gambling than you intended? It might be time to take a step back." And also on Facebook on March 5th, the post reads, "Problem gambling doesn't just affect the individual, it affects families, friends, and workplaces. Awareness is the first step toward healing." And I apologize, I didn't have a slide showing the Facebook post, but for those who want to check out the Facebook posts, you can look at the Washington State Gambling Commission Facebook page. There's a link to the Facebook page at the bottom of the homepage for the Washington State Gambling Commission public website. Now, going to the top of this slide, about 2 years ago, WAC 230.068 was updated, and that WAC rule requires the Gambling Commission to provide licensees with problem gambling / responsible gambling informational signs. It also states that the signs must be posted by licensees in the conspicuous areas of the business. Now, last year, about 8,000 of these informational signs were printed, and our agents in the Regulation Enforcement Unit have been providing these new signs to the licensees over the last year. And to make sure our licensees are in compliance with this rule, special agents do annual inspections and spot checks with the licensees and continue to verify that these signs are posted. Can I get the next slide? Now, these are the informational signs that we've been providing to the licensees. The ones that we gave out in the past were basically on an 8x11 piece of paper that could easily be covered up or damaged. And as you can see with these posters, they are very, very visible. The colors are vibrant. The lettering font is bold. And there are different options at the bottom with how people can access the problem gambling helpline. And you can also notice at the bottom that there's a QR code that persons can scan, which will take them directly to the Evergreen Council on Problem Gambling website. Next slide, please. And those are just a couple more examples of the signs. Can I get the next slide? This is just a brief overview of the self-exclusion program, and in July we'll be doing another presentation on the self-exclusion program. But basically, the self-exclusion program allows persons to voluntarily exclude or ban themselves from house bank card rooms. That only includes the house bank card rooms. It does not include the poker rooms. Once people submit the paperwork to enroll, that decision to enroll cannot be revoked, and they must stay on the list until their term is up. And the term limits, or the terms, are 1, 3, 5, or 10 years. We are developing new RAC cards that we teamed up with Evergreen Council on Problem Gambling, which we will be providing to our house bank card rooms real soon once they get printed out. Can I go to the next slide? These are what the RAC cards will look like. They're informational cards that the house bank card rooms can provide their customers. There's 12 different languages, including Arabic, Chinese traditional, Hindi, English, Khmer, Korean, Russian, Spanish, Tagalog, Thai, and Vietnamese. And unfortunately, I don't have a slide that shows the back of these cards, but there's also information included on the back of the cards that include tips for reducing gambling harms. And they also have the same QR code that the posters had, along with the website, or the web address for the Evergreen Council on Problem Gambling, and the helpline. And with that helpline, you can call, you can text, or you can chat with the helpline and the website. Next slide. And that is the end of my presentation. Is there any questions?
Awesome. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate that. Any of the commissioners have any questions? All right. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate you coming and letting us know about everything that's going on. Next, we will go to tab 7, which is the defaults with Adam Amorin.
Hello, good morning. For the record, my name is Adam Amorin. I am the Legal and Records Manager with the Washington State Gambling Commission. The Washington State Gambling Commission issued licensee Miguel Aragon a Class 3 employee certification authorizing employment as a table games dealer at the Muckleshoot Casino in Auburn, Washington. This license, which expires on June 1st of this year, 2026, was issued subject to the licensee's compliance with state gambling laws and commission rules. On August 25th, 2025, WSGC received an undisclosed criminal history affidavit from the Muckleshoot Travel Gaming Agency. In this affidavit, the licensee indicated that he had been charged with 2 counts of child molestation, that the charges were pending, and that he had been detained for a month. On September 11th, 2025, a WSGC agent obtained certified copies of the court records, which included the determination of probable cause filed in King County Superior Court. These documents confirmed that the licensee was charged with 2 counts of child molestation in the 3rd degree on July 2nd, 2025. Excuse me. On September 25th, 2025, the Muckleshoot Tribal Gaming Agency notified WSGC that Mr. Aragon's tribal gaming license was suspended pending the outcome of his criminal case, which is still pending as of earlier this year. Executive Director Tina Griffin issued administrative charges on January 13th, 2026, alleging that the licensee's actions demonstrate a disregard for statutes and rules promulgated, and that he poses a clear threat to the effective regulation of gambling. WSGC is authorized to revoke his Class 3 employee certification pursuant to RCW 946-075, subsections 1, 8, and 9, RCW 946-153, subsection 1, WAC 230-03-085, subsections 1 and 9A, and the Muckleshoot Tribal State Compact, section VC1. The licensee was sent the charges by regular mail on January 15th, 2026 to the last address the Gambling Commission had on file. To this date, we have not received a response yet. The Commission can take final action against Miguel Aragon's Class 3 employee certification pursuant to RCW 946-075, RCW 3405-440, RCW 3405-461, and WAC 230-03085. His license should be revoked pursuant to RCW 946-075, Sections 1, 8, and 9, RCW 946-153, Section 1, and WAC 230-03085, Sections 1 and 9A.
Great, thank you, Adam. Is Miguel here by chance? You see him online?
Someone just joined, but I'm not sure if that's them.
Miguel? No, I'm not seeing anything. Do any of the commissioners have any questions? All right, do we have a motion?
I move to revoke Miguel Aragon's Class 3 employee certification number 69-18887 as presented by staff.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. All right, motion passes. Thank you. Next, we will go to a petition to initiate rulemaking for equipment self-dealing table with Tricia Gilliam.
The interpreter's on.
I'm sorry.
Okay, hello, back again. Tricia Gilliam, Legislative and Rules Manager, with the final petition to initiate rulemaking in your packet. Petitioner Cassidy Thomas from Auto Poker is requesting the Gambling Commission create a new rule allowing equipment-assisted card delivery tables. Current rules do not specifically authorize self-dealing poker tables, and Petitioner Thomas believes adding a rule specific to equipment-assisted card delivery tables would help create a clearer and more consistent process for reviewing this type of equipment. RCW 946-070, sections 4, 11, and 14 authorize the Gambling Commission to enact rules and regulations regarding gambling activities. If this petition were to move forward, an evaluation of the equipment under WAC 230-17-192 would allow staff to draft WAC language addressing standards and requirements a table would need to be authorized. It would additionally allow staff to inspect the table to fully understand the operability of the equipment during rulemaking to ensure rules address such issues as system functionality, security, player protection, communication, etc. Petitioner Thomas is with us, and I will turn it over to him to provide more information and for the opportunity for you to ask some questions.
Video first.
Oh, yes, if you could cue up his video, yes.
Thank you. And just please remember to state your name.
I'm Cassidy Thomas.
Is there something specific you need her to do because someone else is guiding the meeting?
I'm sorry, what?
Are we just viewing?
Yeah, just at this point, it's just kind of how it works.
Okay, thank you.
So I've been a dealer for 25 years, came up with this idea about 10 years ago. It's basically an automation of the delivery of cards. It doesn't change the integrity of the game. Players would still get the exact same 2 cards the dealer would if we kind of flipped them out manually. It just speeds up the dead time, eliminating about 17 seconds per hand in between. Yeah. And the dealer's still there. It's designed with the intention of keeping it that way. The dealers still cut the deck before putting it in the machine, and the players would still get the same cards, still run the flop turn. Probably a lot of questions.
Is this used anywhere else, or
No, I can't.
you came up with it? So this would just be the first concept being done in the state of Washington.
Anywhere, as far as I know.
And I'm a little confused as to how it works. So there's still a dealer there. So what part is actually automated?
Well, the idea would be to go from a 2-deck rotation where you have one being played and then one in the shuffle machine to a 3-deck rotation. That while deck A is being played and deck B is being shuffled, deck C is being distributed underneath the table while the players are playing on the table surface.
Okay. And I guess I'm understanding that our staff has not looked at this at all yet. Other than
I submitted a prototype to the lab.
Okay. Any other questions? No idea.
So the dealer's still doing the flop part, and
Yeah, we're just eliminating the actual manual delivery of each individual card. Kind of like how table games do packets on like Pag-Out and certain table games. They would give the exact same cards into a packet and then deliver that packet as soon as the current hand's done being played.
okay.
Okay, so it looks like in order to approve this, they would have to go through the gambling commission and they would have to check everything in the lab and ensure that it's all correct. Right, I don't know. Any other discussion?
Chair, if
Yeah,
I
my
might-
understanding. My understanding is if we initiate rulemaking, then we start to examine this machine and can approve it. It's not approving it now; it's approving us looking for moving forward with seeing how this will work.
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
And it wouldn't necessarily be this machine, but it would be something that does something like this.
Yeah. So this was just a working prototype.
I was just going to clarify those exact same points. This just initiates the rulemaking for us to evaluate the equipment referenced in this petition. That's what 230-17-192 does. You are no way approving this, even if you did rulemaking. That's a whole separate process, separate requirements under WAC. But this would just be to evaluate this piece of equipment referenced in this rule. And then if you do initiate rulemaking, rules would be brought back before you to weigh in on, certainly vetted as well, and seeking comment with stakeholders and tribal partners along the way. And then it would be presented to you at least twice before you make the final decision.
All right, anything else, commissioners? Do we have a motion?
I move to initiate rulemaking to approve self-dealing tables.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 All right, motion passed. Thank you. Okay, now we're going back to vote on tab 1, or to hear from tab 1. With Tricia Helion on the petition to initiate rulemaking for the self-exclusion term limits with Petitioner Adams that we started with. I don't know if Petitioner Adams has provided any written comment.
Erica, have we received any written comment from the petitioner?
I can say no, we have not.
No, we have not. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so since we did not receive written comments by the petitioner, I believe we can go ahead and take action on the materials that we've been provided this far. So do we have any questions from any commissioners first before we move forward? Right. We have a motion.
I move to deny the petition submitted by Wong Ping Adams due to Washington state self-exclusion rules being aligned with those of other states in also not allowing people to remove themselves from the list.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. All right, motion passes. Thank you, Tricia. All right, so the next Gambling Commission meeting will be held on April 9th and 10th at the Liquor and Cannabis Board. The commission will now go into executive session that is expected to conclude at 12:32 p.m., which is 1 hour from now. The purpose of this executive session is to review the performance of a public employee pursuant to RCW 4230-110-1G and discuss with legal counsel potential litigation to which the agency is likely to become a party when public knowledge regarding the discussion is likely to result in adverse legal or financial consequences to the agency pursuant to RCW 4230-110-1I. Thank you. Okay. We concluded the executive session at 1:08 p.m. and are now back in open meeting for the purpose of concluding the meeting. It is now 1:10 p.m. and we are adjourned. Thank you.